Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. Today we're going to be working on this bougainvillea. Alright, so I purchased this bougainvillea, I believe it was last May, so it's going to be almost a year since I purchased it. It started more as a bush, and I actually did some branching selection, and I did some pruning, and I actually got to the point where it is right now. This was actually more like in the style of a bush, where it was actually sloppy and slanted a little more towards the sides, especially right here. At that given point, I actually thought about making sort of like a semi-cascade. I'm still debating on whether or not I want to do that type of style at the moment. So I'm actually trying to keep these branches just for the moment until I actually decide on whether or not I want to go with that style, since I do have some branches almost intersecting with each other. But then again, when it comes to pruning, I can actually get rid of some of those branches that are intervening with each other. I actually did some branch selections, like I cut here and there, and I wired some of the branches in order to create this right here, this type of ramification in this very branch. However, some other branches were able to break off from it due to a storm. If you are not well familiarized with bougainvillea, when it comes to these trees right here, if you don't manipulate the branches when they're still green, they turn into a wooden, like a woody brown color. And once they're turned into a woody brown color, it's a little bit harder for you to manipulate the branches without them breaking because they're so brittle at this point. So if you're going to work on a bougainvillea, I highly recommend you to either wire them while the branches are still green, or if you're going to wire them like at this point right now, just be really careful and try not to do a whole lot of bending with the wire. However, what I find that works perfectly fine for me is actually just pruning back in order to get those finer branches towards the end. That usually tends to work a little bit better. So what we're going to do today is that we're going to cut back some of these branches, since the bougainvillea itself, it's still a bit dormant. I do see some new buds, and the good thing about this type of plants is that you can get new buds growing on whatever part it's already wood hardened. So you shouldn't really worry about whether or not you're gonna have new growth. However, if you do want some new branches, definitely let those grow and then cut back to get a better ramification. Alright, so what we're going to be doing right now is that we're going to try to select some of the branches that we're going to be eliminating from this tree, as well as trying to prune back some of the branches that we can get a finer ramification. Right from the start right here, I realized that if I did wanted to continue on with the desired semi-cascade, I would have had to leave this branch right over here and just continue falling down, and as soon as it gets to that shape, I would eventually transplant this little bougainvillea into another type of pot, something that would actually soothe more of a cascade style. So what I'm going to be doing is that I'm going to be using my branch cutters, and I'm going to be cutting this branch right over here, and slowly but surely we're going to be moving this branch to where the location of this one is. So we're going to go ahead and do that, just because at this point I can't really have much of other branches growing, and also because I feel like it's a lot closer to this one right over here, so we want to be able to propagate some of the other branches towards other places. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of this one right over here. Oh, that went away pretty quick. Alright, so now that we've done that, we're going to go ahead and get our shears. Some actually still have them in the package right over here. Alright, and we're going to go ahead and move on to this area right over here. So I do have some branches going in this direction, and I do want to stimulate some new growth right here so that I can have further branches growing in this direction as well. So what I'm going to do is that just for now, until I get some new buds coming out this spring, is that I'm just going to cut back to about right here, just to stimulate some more growth. say right here, as well as just about here. Let's see. Try to be a little bit evenly proportional. I believe I can cut about right here. Okay, so we have those branches cut off from that position. By bringing this branch right about here, I can actually see that I have two other branches right there. I do see that one of the branches was actually broken off from over here. I'm guessing that was the time from the storm. And I do have another one growing in this position. So what I can do is that I'm going to go ahead and cut off just right there. That would actually stimulate this branch right here to grow, and as soon as it gets to the desired length, I'll go ahead and cut that off. But actually, right from there, bring this down. Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and leave that for now. And then I'm going to try to wire this branch to the position that I need it in. I also have these two branches coming along from this point. This one is actually growing in an awkward position. I do have this branch going in this direction while it's been cut off from right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm also going to get rid of this two right here and see if I can get some more branches growing in this point. And I think that's where we're going to be leaving that off for now. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that one. Just here. And also right there. Another of the reasons why we do cut back some of the branches is also to stimulate a little bit more growth at the top. Since these type of bougainvillea tend to grow towards the sides, we want to be able to shorten those sides so that we can actually have some growth at the top. And I feel like this type of bougainvillea is actually a really good type because it stays small, so it's actually good. And if we do want that cascade, then we do have the advantage of that natural flow of wanting to grow to the sides and actually having a small apex at the top. So this part of the process is done on this part, and what we can do is that we can actually move on to right about here. I do have these two branches, and I see that there's another two growing just about right here. So what I can do is cut back just a little bit and then have some other branches growing right over here and just continue to have this one growing downwards. So right now what we're going to do is that we're just going to cut back over here in hopes that we do have some finer branches growing in this direction. So I do have one branch growing right over here, and then we also have another one. So what I'm going to do is just, in order to avoid these two branches dying, because we do always have some dieback, I'll be cutting off just about right here. And then as soon as this growth starts to be stimulated over here, then I'll start slowly cutting back until I reach the point just like the way I did over here. Okay. So I cut back right over here. I do have two branches there, so I'm going to cut back just a little bit in this part right here, and we're going to leave it like that. As soon as this bonsai wakes up again, we're going to have some new growth, and as the new buds continue to grow, we're going to be cutting back just a little bit, and like I said, we're going to be manipulating those new branches. Those branches that can still be able to manipulate easily without breaking. And like I said, once they turn brown and they get that woody feeling, they become a little too brittle and they're easier to break. But just for example, if you do break one of these branches, what I find easy to do is to just grab some of type of plastic and just wrapping the branches together. It's similar to rafting. What you do is that you actually help the branch heal back in place, kind of like when you break an arm, you know, or a bone. You do have that cast on you, so this serves kind of like as a cast, and as soon as it heals, you can safely remove it There's going to be some scars, however, throughout the period of time, it should be able to heal off and mask the whole entire scar completely after a while. So what we're going to do right now is I'm just going to place some wire just right over here towards the trunk, and I'm going to be moving this branch just a little bit to the place, and I'm going to be keeping this one and probably removing anything that is pointing down, just so that I actually have an idea of where the space between the branches are. Okay. Alright, so for this branch we're actually going to be using some 3mm wire, and that's because the wire itself, it's a little bit easier to manipulate. It's not too hard, and it shouldn't give me any problem with the branches. So what we're going to do is that we're just going to anchor this wire just about right here onto the other branch, and then lead it off to the other one. Just like that. We just want to have a place of anchorage so that we can be able to bring this branch back where we want it. Cut off the remaining wire. There. And slowly start bending the branch, being careful and not breaking it. So now that we had actually pruned back in almost every single branch, what we're going to do is that we're just going to leave them as the way they are. We should be expecting some new growth, kind of like just about right here, and some other green buds that are starting to appear on the trunk. I'm going to leave the top just the way it is because I do want to have some branches growing at this direction, and I'm not entirely sure about how tall I would want this bonsai to be. So we're going to start off from the bottom, and then eventually we're going to start to develop some of the branches right at the top. I just want to state the fact that I do like to work with bougainvilleas because they're really hardy trees. I would say it's a little bit hard for you to kill one of these just because they do need a lot of sun, and although they do need a lot of water, you can actually just leave those outside. However, when it comes to a really cold temperature, they do not like that. So try to maintain them in a place where they can stay a little bit humid and not get frostbite, so that you avoid any damages to the leaves and also to the branches. So that's it for this video. I know it's a little bit short, however, you got to work with one of the trees that I have right now, and as soon as the weather starts getting better, we're going to be repotting some of my other bonsais that I have here, and we're going to be working some other ones. I do have intended in the next video, or maybe the next one after that, to create a cascade bonsai out of a juniper. So stay tuned for that video. Don't forget to like this video and also subscribe. I'll see you next time.